Hey guys, so in this video, I want to talk about the lessons from our client making 5 to 10K a month to averaging now $20,000 to $30,000 a month with their cold email system. I want to talk about the lessons that made the biggest impact for that, and it's going to have some absolute gems in this video, at least one core concept here that I want to explain. And that has to do with lead quality and lead qualification. Now, when I say lead quality, you're probably assuming, oh, that means like people that we're contacting initially, we're making the list better, etc. But actually, that's not what I mean. What I really mean is putting qualified calls and only qualified calls on the calendar. This was absolutely, bar none, the best decision we made. And I can't believe for the life of me that it took us like a year with this client to actually finally start doing that. Now, granted, it was difficult, right? It was difficult. That's why it took over a year for us to implement this. So quick context. Basically, before we did that, we were only putting any call on the calendar. So we would pretty much take anyone who replies, anyone who becomes an opportunity from cold email, would have the appointment setter that we placed in their company, right? Our appointment setter, they'll just pretty much like try to get them to book a call, and they'll do it with anyone. And so what was pretty interesting is our show rates, number one, used to be around 50 to 60%, maybe 65% on a high month, averaging around 50 to 55% though. That was for the first like 6 to 12 months. Now with this client, number one, we're averaging 80 to 90% show rates. Number two, we're actually, let me show you right over here. I just made a post 14 hours ago about this specific example. You can see these are the stats for July 2026. They collected $21,492. Qualified calls, we put 34 calls on the calendar. We sent 63,000 emails, generated 337 opportunities. So here you can see some of the stats as well. You guys are welcome to come to this post. You can just search it in the community. And you can see here are the stats as well. Previously, the show rates were 50 to 60%. Now they're 80 to 90%. So that's the first variable that we have been able to dial in, right? We just like increase the efficiency and the optimization of that specific link in the chain. So essentially we have this giant chain and we have all the different things that we want to optimize, which are the different links in this chain. So one of those links is show rate. We got another one, which is trust, right? Now, I would say trust isn't necessarily a link in the chain. Trust is essentially the lever that adjusts every variable or every link in the chain. But look, overall, because we only started dealing with people who are a fit for the offer and essentially not wasting any time with the people who are not a fit for the offer, we trained the appointment setter to be able to look at each lead on Instagram, because these are Instagram leads. So this client specifically, I actually put it in the post. Over here you can see they got two marketing channels. Number one is Instagram shoutouts. So this is a Instagram coach who helps people grow on Instagram. So we get the leads from Instagram. Okay. We have a custom scraping protocol that we run for that. Also took us like 6 months to build that out. It was a lot of work getting it dialed in. But right now, the cold email system is actually outperforming the other system, which is directly from Instagram. He sells a coaching program. It's like 6K or 2 payments of 3,500. That's their price point. And we get the emails from Instagram, and we are, reaching out to them and getting them to book a call. Pretty powerful. So we sent 63,000 emails. We got 337 opportunities. Once again, 34 of them were qualified. So that means now previously, if we generated 330 opportunities previously, we would have booked more calls, right? The appointment setter previously on these 337, she had a booking rate of 20%, usually 22%, but we can just rough it at 20%. So that would equate to around 67 calls, if my math serves me correct. I think it's like 66 calls. No, 67 would be 20%. Let's confirm that. 337 times 20%. 67 calls. That was just some quick math in my head. Now, because we're only taking qualified leads, the appointment setter is checking out every single person who becomes an opportunity, checking their Instagram profile first, pre-qualifying them based on certain criteria we gave her, by the way, another really good reason why we want to have humans in the loop, right? Why I don't necessarily believe in full automation with AI, because it skips, it essentially like, it lowers conversion rates in every link in the chain. So at scale, when we're trying to optimize for a high ticket offer, it just pays for itself to have humans who are actually good at what they do. Quick tip there. However, there are certain examples where we want to use automation and AI. It all depends on volume, it all depends on TAM, and it all depends on how valuable the offer is and if it's actually worth it to pay more for a high quality job. Like I'm saying, she pre-qualifies the people on Instagram and then only puts the people who are qualified in a qualified pipeline. So she has two pipelines. This is now big difference number two is we created a qualification pipeline. So previously, right, for the first 12 months, she was putting everything in one pipeline. So qualified leads, unqualified leads, essentially like following up with everyone. So every time she had to do a follow-up in 3 days' time, she would contact everyone. And it was just this giant pool of people. Right now, she's only booking around 10%. As you can see here, it was literally 10% last month of the bookings, of the opportunities that she booked into a call that were qualified. And the nice thing is, the reason why the show rates, in my opinion, increased is because, again, every link in the chain is now being leveraged. Why? Because she's able to put more attention to the qualified leads. She's actually enjoying her job more because she doesn't have to time waste. Essentially, everyone in the team, which is, by the way, another form of links in the chain, the sales department, the closer is happier because he's only getting qualified calls on the calendar. As a byproduct of that, his closing rate is increasing. The appointment setter is only needing to follow up with qualified prospects. She's happier because she has half the workload. Either she has half the workload or she's getting more qualified calls on the calendar because she's able to emphasize more and put in more effort for the qualified leads. Again, because she doesn't have to waste time with the unqualified leads. So can you see how by the closer being happier and the appointment setter being happier, and the third variable here in this process of people would be the lead, the prospect. The prospect's happier because they're getting a higher quality interaction with the company. Because if we have to speak to 3 times the amount of people, each point of contact, each attempt of contacting them will be lower quality by default. So everyone is happier when we're speaking to the right people. Essentially, like when things are a fit, everyone wins. It's a win-win-win-win-win. And guess what? The fourth person who wins is the founder of the company, who owns, is the client in this case. The founder who's paying my agency every month, he's happier. So guess what? He's more willing to allocate more budget towards scaling the system, which in turn gives us the opportunity to generate more opportunities for the appointment setter, which in turn puts more qualified calls on the closer's calendar, meaning he gets to earn more. The appointment setter gets to earn more. It's a complete ecosystem of positive energy. I hope this is making sense because this is gold right here. This is gold. This absolutely transformed the performance of this entire account. And basically the end result, because links in the chain are not linear. They're exponential. So I always like to say it's not 1 + 1 + 1. No, it's 2 × 2 × 2. Notice that? It's a higher number and it's not addition, it's multiplication. 1 + 1 + 1 is 3. 2 × 2 × 2 is 8. And as a byproduct of that, you can see that 8 is 2.5 times 3. And $21,000 is like 2.5 times the average of 8K that we were doing before we made this implementation. So it literally is, as a first principle result from it's cause and effect, it's showing in results, which is just a beautiful thing. So the moral of the story is when you can get things to be a better fit, everyone wins. The prospect wins, the company wins, and every person working for the company wins. You, if you are a solo entrepreneur, you win because you're happier. You're happier in your life because you have more free time to do what you want to do and have more balance. You're happier because you're helping them win easier. So you're getting more dopamine. Like all of these things compound on each other and it just massively increases success. Hopefully that makes sense, guys. Start qualifying your leads. qualifying and only speaking to people who are qualified absolutely makes, bar none, the biggest difference. There is nothing, I've got so much more to say about this. I should probably keep it in a separate video, but I'll just say it anyways. There is nothing more toxic. There is absolutely nothing more toxic than speaking to people who are not a fit, because they also don't have the right mindset. They will also undervalue what it is that you're doing. And so even what you're offering, if they're undervaluing it, it's going to start transforming the way you perceive your own offer, which will lower closing rates. It will lower opportunity rates. It will lower show rates, because it will influence how your pre-call VSL is even being created. Because absolutely everything when it comes to client acquisition is revolving around certainty and conviction. And the best way to maximize certainty and conviction is by associating yourself around the energy of success. And I feel like this is something that nobody really talks about. I've never heard someone say this stuff before. I wish that someone had taught me this like 10 years ago when I was starting out. But yeah, this is the biggest secrets that make the biggest difference. So I'll say the premise of this video would be, realize and keep at the forefront of your mind that everything influences everything. I do believe that you're only a couple steps away from turning a failing campaign or an average campaign into something that can transform your business forever. So hopefully this was valuable, and I'll see you in the next one.